I'm not sure if it's enough for you to be able to impress the
The
psychic
bead
warriors out
gods.
there.
Yeah, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to get some approval from the bead lord. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Yeah, I know we've been gone for a while, but let's talk about beads.
We're here to talk about beads and what you been beading, huh?
You don't look
What
at
you
me with
been
those,
beading out there?
don't be looking at me with those beady eyes.
I know I look sort of fat,
Yeah.
and I want to address this really quick. I was it's actually like really sad. It's hard to talk about. I was eating out in the wild. I found a bee's nest,
Okay.
and as you know, I love me some honey.
Obviously.
I love natural honey, and I can't. I don't know why I'm laughing. This is very tragic and painful. I lost I lost like most usage of the right side of my face, actually. So it's not really a joking matter, Sebastian. So thank you. So I was frolicking and romping through the forest, and as I said, I kind of stumbled upon a bee's nest, and I started to eat the honey, not realizing that there was bees in the hive, you know.
Right.
But they started to sting the inside of my mouth, the inside of my throat, and the inside of my stomach, and I've had a lot of like serious side effects from it.
It
And
was like
one of
My
the main
Girl,
ones.
except for it
What's
was just
that?
you. It was like the movie My Girl, but just you.
Yeah, it was that with. So I was in that movie actually. That was
You
Macaulay
look like
Culkin, right?
you look like Macaulay Culkin, basically.
I was
Like
a stand-in actually.
right. You're like the extra for Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, they had me.
But they only pay you like $1,000 though.
Yeah, they paid me in dust actually. So it's like I only got like $12.
Right.
But like, I don't know. I'm taking a jab. I love dust. I just shout out to all the Dustians out there.
Dude, real smooth.
I got dust. No, but
You and
I
everyone
played the
else who chats on Telegram.
I know, right?
Like, I've got dust.
I dust. Who doesn't have dust? I guess it's like
Okay,
finding
wait,
a
wait.
pin.
Actually, let me bring that back. For the people who are not into crypto, what is
Can I
dust?
finish really quick? I played the body of Macaulay Culkin in that movie after he'd been stung by the bees because I'm very. Go
Right.
ahead.
Okay.
That was distasteful, and you're trying
Thanks
to
for
like
wrapping that up there.
Okay, I get
Closing
it.
that loop there.
I should have. I should have just. Okay, go ahead.
I was trying to help you segue.
Dust is what again? Because I'm just like the fans.
Okay, so not
I'm hankering for some knowledge.
angel dust and not any
Wow, and
not like
we'll talk about your experiences with that later.
right. Right, exactly. But what it means is basically in Telegram they've got a bot that there's a game called Nifty Wizards
like a
and
robot.
like a what?
Like a robot.
A robot without a body.
Okay.
and that's on Telegram. Whatever it takes for you to understand. So the bot, it basically when you're playing like I guess like a role playing game. Where basically you're doing like a what's it like LARPing almost? It's almost like LARPing.
Oh yeah, like live action role play. I'm a big LARP fan. I actually have like a
lightning bolt
sword, and I
like out of tinfoil. Like you just craft swords in your basement, all types of different massive weapons, and then have like an aluminum foil based e-commerce.
That's pretty much what I do a lot of the time.
Right. It's like aluminum foil is the answer.com.
I mean, you can check out that domain if you want. There's not really much up there right now, but
right. It's parked though by GoDaddy.
Not like loveisnathan.com, which is actually up and running. So.
I am so proud of you. Did you just plug your own product? Guys,
is that a segue?
You should totally like buy that NFT right now because
that might be the first time.
That may be the first. I think should we clip this? Should we make it cool? It's like he plugged his own like product.
That's crazy. If you think about it though, it's It's because really I lack any sense of ego. And
I would disagree.
Hell you say, friend? Is that a weird way to ask you?
Yes, it's LARPing inside of Telegram. And so you get paid to chat. So anyone out there who've heard of play to earn, basically
like Oprah Winfrey, right? Or like Howard Stern or something. Like they get
right,
paid
like you get a crypto, and all you're doing is sending like just messages. And so some people actually even abuse dust, not in the way that you're thinking, but in a different way. Where basically they send multiple messages, like one word answers to collect more and more dust.
Like hi, send how, send R, send you. Send.
And I got to give a big shout out to some of the dope ass dust miners that's been dropping. So it's an NFT that helps you multiply your dust mining. And so Ken just dropped one with Senior Lupe. That was fire. The 420 duster. Then Junkyard just dropped two of them, two dust miners, and then Wooden Cyclops is doing two dust miners. And so basically you hold that NFT. For people who don't know about it, you buy that NFT, you hold it in your account, and then all of a sudden you get more dust. The more you chat, you get a multiplier on it. And so if I were to buy like 10 dusters, then basically I'd be dusted as fuck.
You'd be dusty. You'd be one dusty bunny.
Right. I would have to drop like dusty.
Isn't it cool that the game economy and this sort of like social economy are sort of developing and combining together? Because if you think about it, there's always been this sort of, I don't know if it's like even a misconception really, but there's just been common like theme in the gaming industry, or just gaming scene rather, that the gamers themselves are pretty like antisocial or something. And I know it's really not the case, because I've been in that scene most of my life and stuff, is sort of like a self-proclaimed like nerd or something.
Right.
So I see a lot of what's happening in like blockchain gaming. Like there's all these attempts to like, all right, we need to make this social media component of this game, or we need this live chatting, or we need this whatever. I think it's really interesting to see it all going that way. Do you think that we're like developing some like next level economy that people are just going to rely upon for their daily lives?
Absolutely. I think that what's happening is that for a long time we were told that anything we upload to the internet doesn't have value because it can be copied. And that was a logical thing at the time, because it can be copied. Right. But now you can like prove scarcity and ownership through crypto. And so what's interesting is that like we've seen these models where, you know, in different social media companies or whatever, any place where you would upload content, and then you either make a fraction or you make zero. And so technically you could make an economy out of the revenue generated of the time spent of the users, but it's generally not shared. And so this is kind of like the gig economy. If you think about those top companies being multi-billion-dollar companies, then what if these were like shared economies of multi-billion dollars? And in fact, some of these economies like Our Planet and a couple other ones, it's only a couple $1 million that's really making changing people's lives. And so you know, it makes sense for the companies to reward the users because they are based off of time spent. So if you're like really, really engaged with a brand, that you are creating content for it, like spending all your time there and all that stuff, like why shouldn't you get a piece of the advertising? And so I think, you bougie motherfucker. And so, you know, I'm just gonna drink my Michelob, and you're gonna drink you're such a hipster. Dude, is there like psychic energy in there?
I have this on backup though. This is my favorite.
Oh, okay, that's dope.
This is like my all-time favorite drink. It's either I'm kind of a redneck. I'm like, I'll either take. Well, this is actually a byproduct of growing up in Chicago. It's either Modelo or Jack and Coke.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
I know it's like those are the go-tos.
And
like,
deep dish pizzas, right? And then and then the deep dish pizza, right?
Deep dish pizza, little hot dog.
It's specific kind of hot dog, eh?
Yeah, you got to have it Chicago style. That's basically where they put everything on top of it. Even like,
Dude, we're gonna have to rip around some restaurants there in Chicago. But yo, to wrap up
Thank
that
you.
that thread there,
Let's not wander too far into the Chicago forest.
right? Exactly. Um, the gig economy that's coming is, I think we have a lot of untapped value because for decades we were told that these things couldn't be monetized or tracked or proven scarcity or proven ownership. You have a lot of people who are about to generate a shit ton of value that we couldn't access before. And so at the same time, you have jobs that are being automated by just straight up automation. Like, let's not use the term AI. Let's just say automation. And a lot of physical jobs are being worked through and re-optimized because of new times. So what's happening, I think, is that people always ask, like, what are we going to do with all our time? And we've seen things like through like futurists like Keishi Matsuda, who worked at augmented reality company Leap Motion, and he's done visions of how like basically like UBI, universal basic income, will be like advertising based. So basically like, you know, he's shown these like visualizations of like turning on, being in your kitchen, turning on a shit ton of ads, it generating some sort of income, which kind of sounds familiar to some sort of crypto or,
yeah, you know, to us it sounds logical,
right? Play to earn, right? But this was maybe 2000 and no, not even. This is like a decade old, this video, and and basically then being able to turn off the advertising or turn down the advertising, the amount of it. And that video is called Hyper Reality on YouTube if you want to look it up. But all that aside, yeah, if you think about these things like Uplift, which we should talk about, because my little plug right there for Nathan, and you'll find out why. But with Uplift, for example, you think about how many people really adore Minecraft, and really it's their favorite game. You know, it's a social thing, as you were talking about nerds. Like, you know, it's in a way, I feel like a lot of the crypto and tech stuff is nerds' revenge. It's like nerds taking over the planet, really. It's like comic books is now an investment, and like, well, it kind of, some people have looked at comic books like an investment, but what I mean is like, it's almost like all the cool stuff that they told you that you shouldn't do when you're a kid, which is like, don't play video games. And it's like, now you can play like chain games and like actually get paid to play video games, or like, you know,
or don't sit around and draw like all day. Don't doodle in the classroom when you should be taking notes. But then you have like wooden cyclops killing.
Right.
Like,
and he literally does what he wants, and he draws to the extent in which he feels it's done. There's no like creative brief. It's literally like, you know, so it's kind of interesting. It's like the world's biggest brands are like skateboarding, which you're told like not to do, and then like, you know, like it feels like all the things that we were told we shouldn't do are all the things that make you successful. Right? Why everything that told me is that's supposed to be bad make me feel so good. Everything they told me not to is exactly what I would.
I should.
Yeah. I tried to
Kanye?
stop, man. I tried the best I could, but yeah, exactly.
Oh shit. Is that the College Dropout album?
It is. It is.
Yeah. All right. I have every album because I'm from that area.
Of course. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And man, a lot of legends from Chicago, right? So yeah, Twist, Common, the whole drill scene. So you know, Chief Keef, and I mean everybody. So yeah, Chicago's got a lot of talent. Woof. Sheesh.
Cold as fuck, though.
So Uplift, people now being able to get paid to spend their time, which seems like it should make sense, right? It's like if you're, so like I personally have hired some construction workers inside of the blockchain inside of Uplift. Big shout out Mellow Fellow Boards. And
who's that fellow?
TC Josh. And they, you know, they did construction work on my virtual landscape. And that's a new gig economy. That's a new type of job. NFT creator is a new type of job. So it's like a few years ago, people used to be like, well, what's going to happen when all the robots and AI sort of take the jobs and stuff? And it's like, well, we'll do more cerebral or creative jobs.
Thank God.
And in a way, this is the first signs of it. Twitch streamers, these jobs that we couldn't have ever imagined. You know, if you were to go back just 20 years and say, you know, social media director, I mean, it's like, what the fuck is that? What do you
what is
mean?
that?
That's a job? That's a real thing?
What do they do? News stories about like parties or what?
No, not
You know,
even
like
news stories. Like they wouldn't even know what social media is, or
exactly.
you know, right?
Yeah,
So
they would think it means some bizarre thing that doesn't. Yeah. Yeah, and
yeah,
I think it's like to your other point about bringing up the UBI. I think that there's a lot of concerns that it would make people like quote unquote lazy or something. I know that you've heard the debates. I'm sure that
sure,
everybody has, right?
absolutely.
But I think that there's this alternate argument where you could say that it's going to allow people to explore their creativity to the point where it's going to give birth to these new ideas that could help create the next generation of technology. Because
Well, here,
we're at that point with technology where like we can only like hard work our way into so many new renovations and innovations. What we need to do is kind of open our minds, and for that we need to be free, we need to be rested, we need to be kind of like have the free time to go be relaxed, exercise, meditate, do the things that kind of help us develop our flow state and just grab those ideas out of the atmosphere. You know?
well, here's okay. So there's a few things that are happening, right? You have okay. We pulled these 40-hour work weeks from the industrial revolution. It's like a sort of, you know, mundane, arbitrary number, and say 40 hours is actually what's productive. I mean, it's just completely ridiculous at this point. And so, you know, like the whole COVID thing proved remote work can actually work more efficiently for most companies. Where before it was a fallacy that it was like, oh, you know, like if you're working at home, you're not productive or something, right? It's like old world thinking. And so I think that with all of those different paradigm shifts, you have, I mean, the repetitive work, we don't need to do it. Like if someone's job is just hitting a button or repeating a task over and over again, there is no sort of meaning in it. It's just,
I was a sewing machine operator for like a decade. So I know that feeling of being like, all right, this is your task. You have to produce 150 of these parts by the 27th, and then they ship to this address, and you kind of like know your procedure, and it's mindless work. Like you're just repeating. The best part is if they can find humans that are able to just repeat the same process mindlessly over and over and over and over. And like that's right. Skill. You know, and it's I saw firsthand for a long time how useless it can feel to be stuck in it and something monotonous that could easily be done by like a machine or something.
Right.
I was the interface between customer and sewing machine essentially.
Right. And that's sort of, I think that's the point. Like, of course, do people get great relaxation and passion from the hobby of sewing? That's one thing. But the necessity of clothing humanity shouldn't be dependent on sort of like the repetitive need for someone to just keep doing something when we can automate that. And so the other thing is like when you look at a lot of generative art, like AI based work, like AI to generate clothing fashion designs, or AI to generate designs, what really ends up happening is that a human has to evaluate the quality of that output and still modify and adjust. So essentially what will become is like almost like AI trainers. So people who are able to, write good automation, like good automation requires
like a dolphin trainer.
Like, yeah, it requires sound logic. And if your logic's fucked, then it doesn't matter how good you can automate it. You're automating a dumb thing. And so
I love that example. You bring this up sometimes, not to interrupt, but it's just to your point, like that debate over does the self-driven car hit, the crowd of people or the lady with the baby carriage or something. It's like,
right. That's a perfect, and that's the thing.
It's like if we're not giving it the best info, how's it going to do what we kind of think it should maybe?
Right.
And then who's deciding right, wrong? think it's
Right.
very interesting.
It becomes a question of like, again, like morality, creativity, like these intangibles that we consider important to us as humans, where to the
These are
computer,
God characteristics. These are those things that seem to separate human from the rest of the beasts, you know, like
for sure. Yeah, it's not just yet about survival. It's about like this ability to see into the future and to like plan
discernment
out,
almost.
right? And so I think that all those things point to, if we're going to be a more like conscious and intentional hive mind or species or whatever, we're going to, we need the time to think and to be very thoughtful in the things that we automate. So, there's another game, a famous experiment or game that's called something like the paperclip game or something, where basically it's this thought exercise of like, if you were to tell an AI to generate paper clips simply, and its job was to optimize on these like key factors of like use the cheapest material, like the most optimal design to produce it fast, and like whatever, based off of all the trillions of different uh you know chemistry that can be done and whatnot. And so basically, like if this AI was driven on the idea of scarcity, or not scarcity, on solving, the cost and solving efficiency and all those kinds of things, if that's the only intentions that it's programmed with, it would stop at nothing to sort of to do so. And so it's basically like this game where basically like the whole world is like destroyed or taken over by paper clips, because like in some like exaggerated form, the AI did whatever was necessary in order to do it, to achieve its goal. And so like, I guess the thought exercise is to say, it's like when you infinitely, like, okay, like in NFTs, we definitely want to infinitely automate that anytime an NFT is resold, I should get a royalty for life perpetually. So that's like a sound logic to say that if that continues on to the future forever, I'm totally okay with that. But when we start to get into stuff like automating judges for court cases
right,
and shit like that, it gets a very questionable. And I think that movies like, or books like The Giver and those kinds of things, like discuss this sort of utopian future of how like we do less manual work, but we're more about like being like caretakers, or being like we bring wisdom to our humanity when we make our decisions, probably through like governance tokens or something like that, something interesting like that. You see the gig economy concept of like, oh, we can have abundance, infinite abundance, because of AI intelligence and like 3D printing and manufacturing and stuff like that becoming more scalable. We can have infinite abundance. So what do we do with our time? We're not useless. We're not just on vacation. We do more cerebral jobs, more emotional, more
work, like the hard work that actual
empathetic.
physical labor actually somewhat helps you avoid, which is like introspection,
Mm.
kind of dealing with trauma, maybe dealing with the way you react to things, even the way that you perceive things, or
Well, it's very utopian
rationalize
because
things.
people want to know how it works in an economy, because then it leads back to that UBI, like, oh, you're sitting there dealing with your problems in your house and that's what you're getting paid for. No, I don't think so. I think that it's more so.
For cryptocurrency can come into play in the metaverse, because you can incentivize people to get out and do things, even though they're not working per se. And the other thing about like gaming economies that I think is interesting is like we're all creating data for somebody somewhere, right?
Well,
And somebody's
somebody
getting
or
paid for
something.
data, and we all need to be compensated for, because of like right now we're producing like code somewhere, like it's this data, like this is ones and zeros somewhere.
Oh yeah, YouTube and
And
Facebook and a bunch of people are going to make money off this conversation. That's fact.
exactly, and that's probably a lot of money.
And we're
This is
conditioned
fire conversation.
to believe that although we're creating this thing, we're using a platform to receive a service, but we deserve no buy-in, or we deserve no kickback, or if so, like pennies, or we should get a like.
Right,
And
because their logic is like, hey, you just be a couple nerds chit-chatting on Zoom without our platform, without our promotion, without our tools that you have here to just upload and kind of just go. Like,
sure, it is definitely a balance in between like offering a great service and those kinds of things. But what I mean is there's still untapped wealth. There's wealth that can be now tracked and monetized. And so when you what makes an economy is just buying and selling, really. And so it's like in Uplift, you can get paid to play, but then you may need to spend that in-game currency to upload like photos and logos to your building, which is a need. And so thus you return the money back into the economy, and then it's earned back once people, right? So I think people miss that principle where
that's how you resist inflation too, because if you're dealing with something that needs to be capped in order to maintain value, you have to give it good utility for it to get returned to the environment.
for sure, you can't just cash out, no utility.
Yeah, if
right?
you're just gonna hold it, and then you've got everybody just like waiting for the next person to make their move. So it's good that it's incentivized by interacting in positive ways, like building the Uplift world into being like a doper place, essentially, like building like the coolest structures with the coolest utilities, like your stores and your different parks, your different things that have different reasons for being there. Like, I mean, some of the stuff that you're doing, like, I don't know how much you're able to talk about, but you're doing some amazing stuff, man.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about it, but I do want to clarify this word metaverse. And when we talk about like that, I feel
we
like
should get Will Burns on here. He helped. He's a friend of mine. He helped define kind of the modern definition of metaverse, like what it means.
Let's jump into that, because I feel like, unfortunately, people inside of an industry generally talk very easily about these things. We say like,
I know we throw this shit around flippantly, like it's not like, it's just like everybody gets, the metaverse.
Yeah, obviously metaverse,
imaginary bullshit thing, and kind of
right. So actually, so how about,
not really.
Go ahead, run with it. What is your interpretation of the metaverse, and like why do we need it? Why does it like matter? Like, why are we even discussing such a concept when we've dealt without a metaverse for such a long time?
I would say it's a combination of bringing, I guess, what we have to offer as human beings and the data that we create, so like files, into like an online to offline relationship in some ways. I don't know if that really makes sense, but I think it's kind of like we're helping facilitate an environment that is sort of our imagination. I'm trying to think of like how to put it for people that have no idea. So sort of like our imagination, but through the help of, I guess, what you'd call like almost portals, we can view our imaginary world around us in things like AR and VR. So it's like adding digital content to the real world that can be viewed through an intermediary.
Yeah, I think you said something about pardon. You were talking about how the metaverse is, well, one of the things that is important about the metaverse in terms of it seems to be the concept of like you being universal or interoperable. It only means basically it's the idea that like in the real world it would be way too complicated for like somehow without a partnership Sonic to wear a Mario hat or for Mario to wear Sonic shoes. It's just too many IP, intellectual property stuff. There's a bunch of laws and contracts. And what we're starting to see also is like other companies that need to work together to share data. So like on that point is like we're creating data, but we don't know what to do with it. And so like an AI theoretically could aggregate lots of information and come with some sort of sense of it, or create a data visualization in which a human can make a decision about it, right? But in either case, there's a lot of things like the Nest thermostat being able to send the current temperature to your Bluetooth fridge. so that way it knows how to cool itself, so it's efficiently using energy. And then when it communicates with the electricity company and understands how many like current watts or whatever the situation is, basically we need things to communicate with each other. We cannot create all these like silos of information, like, you know, these,
Or you have essentially what you get without traffic lights or turn signals or clocks. You get just this.
right.
I mean, even though it's computing, you still get disorder.
Right. You need some sort of coordination. And if there's all this information, there's a lot of conclusions that could be made. And so it's like, so how does like Nest pay the fridge? Well, technically it would pay it with a cryptocurrency. And if they could automate terms, that's what a smart contract is, or an NFT, is to say, if this, then that, right? And so it's like, if it meets these conditions, which is like, hey, you know, we're willing to pay X amount for this piece of data, then they don't really need to have like a negotiation or like a partnership every time that they want to transmit a new degree change in the room, right? They should just have an easy way to just like quickly automate the deal.
Yeah, it verifies that the data is true, and then it executes the condition.
Boom. Yeah, just give me the thing. So a lot of when we always talk about like automation and how like our lives will be so like simple, and that's what industrial revolution brought, like in some ways.
That's what we're in now. It's just we're in the we need to reimagine the word industry and industrial and what that meant then, which was kind of this like, I guess people get this
physical world
of like people in their 20s going to work in a dirty factory and dying young, and you know, and like that's kind of the image that they get when you hear industrial revolution. I think we are the factory workers in some ways now. Like we get our hard hats and we get on the internet and we're looking for a combination of opportunities and like interesting innovations that we can be a part of.
Sure.
Instead of like just grabbing our hard hat and just like going at it all day, whatever they're doing. I might grab a hammer thing like a pantomime.
Well, I think let's connect some points here. You were talking about how the metaverse is sort of like this imaginary world that now is more tangible, that we can actually like express. And so when we think about the Industrial Revolution, or just any other of human history, what we're trying to do is colonize the earth, right? And it's like we're trying to set up like communities and services and like resources, right? Like kind of like in Uplift and these other universes, right? Where you're like, okay, I need to colonize the land, then I need to own the land, I need to cultivate the resources, and then like create an economy, survive, those kinds of things. And so I think what happened is that we conquered the physical world completely. Like we you know, discovered all the countries, we've learned as much as we can, we've tried to name every animal on the planet, you know, we've literally tried to kind of like understand everything. And then now we have this like new universe in which we're spending 20 hours a day, even this moment that you can't even stay, you know, focused on this conversation, you're reconnecting into the internet to your phone. Clearly I can tell. And so the thing is, it makes sense to want to like build, understand, explore inside of that universe in which is not colonized and is not dominated. So in a way, we've kind of like dominated all the animals on the planet. We've dominated like all the countries
to the point where we're down to ourselves. I feel
right.
like.
And
that's
now we're like
this biohacking, like just like obsession.
By the way, I've met some biohackers, real life biohackers. Really,
I do Wim Hof. I do like so like there's things that I engage in my personal life that a lot of people consider biohacking, like drinking a ton of water, or maybe like occasionally you microdose or something, or maybe you
right. You did say that it's always the champignon that's the issue.
Yeah, and that's French for fungus of some sort. Yes,
fungi.
And that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of I think there's a lot of biohacking techniques that people use that are unconventional that yield really good results. But there's a lot of discomfort involved or challenge, I think. I think it's something I heard Joe Rogan say too that kind of plays into this, and it's something that somebody else he heard say. It's that I think Tim Kennedy told him this or something. I listened to that podcast too much back in the day. It said, was that hard times create hard men create easy times, and easy times create soft men. So, and I think it's like we would be dealing with that in some ways now, but we're socially kind of grinding at each other. And even in the tech field, like we have this kind of like, there's a lot of debate about like what's the future, what's right, what's wrong, instead of like letting everybody else be themselves.
I'm gonna push back against some of this macho man bullshit that Joe Rogan throws around. Like, I love the dude; he's got a great show, but I mean, the whole like making soft men bullshit is really.
It does sound a little kind of.
I don't need to eat deer meat and like get the fuck out of here, bro. I'm gonna say this about that.
Thank you.
There's a bunch
of.
I
will actually agree with you on that part of it about there being sort of.
Dude, there's a bunch of savages in crypto that, yeah, they might not whoop your ass, but they are savages and they will rip your like throat out. You get what I'm saying? Like, look, it's a different. It's a technical.
Swipe your shit. Like
right,
they'll swipe your shit on the blockchain, like, hey, got your
it's a technological like savage or like barbarian, but don't think that because motherfuckers is on the computer that people just became.
No, it's worse. It's worse. All your money will be gone the next day. Like that's the people that we deal with. Like all your stuff will be gone. And you're like,
yeah, you're not gonna call that dude soft because he uses a computer. Like, yo, dude is about to rob you for your life savings. So I mean, I'm just saying, I think that maybe our interpretation of what like digital, like what a conqueror is or what a, what an alpha is. I think new alpha is not, really your physical energy is not displayed in this new world. It's your mental energy that is actually used to display like dominance, right? It's like your physical strength almost has like no value in this new, in this new world.
I think that we'll enter those like hard times mentally and emotionally because we'll be forced. I think a lot of people to survive will be forced to tap into their creative instincts or their emotional instincts in a way that's either like socially beneficial, emotional, or, the creative side, which is that mental side. Because then you're either offering some sort of like value to society and like the, nurturing love and new ideas and kind of helping create this creative environment, or you're actually furthering the process with like the creative contributions that like literally come out of your mind and your mouth. So I think that we're in these like challenging times, or we're entering a challenging time mentally and emotionally, because a lot of people are going to be faced with the real proposition that, hey, my physical job could essentially go to a program or a protocol or a robot or whatever we want to call it. And then, a lot of people, they worry maybe, I don't know. We have a lot of friends who go, I'm not the most creative, or I've never been an artist, or like whatever. And they're scared.
Yeah.
And I empathize, but I think that those are the hard times mentally and emotionally that we're about to enter, is like,
absolutely,
this industrial revolution of like people having to grab their hard hats and like work their ass off at things that don't really suit them. And try to make it work,
Yeah, I think that what's going to happen is you're kind of already seeing it, is like the world's billionaires are nerds, are technology.
And they're all shooting themselves into space.
Right. And so
Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos in the same damn week. But and then Elon Musk is like planning it too. He's gonna go to the space station. They're all like, all right, we've done a lot of things here, and they all happen to be very cerebral people that are usually ahead of the mark, right? So they see that that's like, and a lot of them are focused on blockchain and crypto too. But they see that this is like that final frontier in some ways, like how like we were going west, like that's like what we're doing now.
Sure, absolutely. And I think that, yeah, in a way, that's we're physically bound by the planet that we're on, or that they're working on that. But mentally, I think that's what the opportunity with the internet.
Would it be like looking at Minecraft versus Uplift? Sorry to interrupt. Like how like you have this place that's like sort of like a place, and then this like other space that's just like this unlimited space.
I think we're always going to think about what's next. And I think that when right now we're bound physically to this planet, but we're not bound mentally to the internet. And so the internet allows us to have boundless thoughts in terms of like, not only what now, even like I was saying, it's like something that's copyable, downloadable, that is shareable can somehow still be owned in proven scarcity, we've pretty much solved and then with AR and VR technology being able to display our imagination. That's like, when you try to explain to somebody something, like even our conversation, we're trying to convey ideas through words, which is just low resolution technology.
Yeah.
And you're like trying to like put it together in your brain based off of your experiences, and you're like, okay, this is kind of what he means, but you're not seeing the same thing. Whereas like if I could somehow like 3D design a world and then show it to you, like in a way what Uplift is, right? It's like
we're taking in Bible's worth of information per second, like just
right.
That's especially when you're in like those worlds,
right? And now I can show you what I mean by a gallery slash, and we'll lead into Uplift now, because that's some of the things we're building. But you can see my gallery. I don't need to explain it to you. You can see it. You can see what I mean by it. And so you can go there, you can have a memory there, we can spend time there in a place that's in my head. And so I think that has more distance that we can travel than what we can at the speed of light to a planet, right? And so it's like getting there physically in a way for humans, I think will be disappointing because
I agree.
In a way, the internet can allow you to imagine these wild things that are beyond physics or beyond the realm of reality. Whereas the reality of a planet that's pretty much like the worst desert on Earth, and you're pretty much gonna just die and feel awful, is way different than like maybe like a utopian like Dutchy land I could build in my head. And then you can go there, spend time with friends, and remember it like a memory. I feel like
you don't want like a real life Dutchy land on Mars where people just go there to die and just like this depressing skeletons on Ferris wheels type of like very bleak environment. This is what I imagine. The velvet ropes with lions.
Okay, see, but here's the thing, right? So I laugh because I imagined it. Well, with VR, AR, you could show it to me. Technically, AI could suggest images based off of a skeleton sitting in a Ferris wheel, and then we could both be seeing it in real time, a skeleton sitting in a Ferris wheel. So I think that, and then that's
I have an idea.
What?
I know this is an original. People that we've both probably.
Well, it's you. I can't imagine anything original coming out of your mouth.
You watch yourself, sir. No, like just the idea of building things in other places and having avatars, essentially, like moving like robots, basically, or like these rovers that you see on Mars, essentially, like something like that, built in an alternate environment, and then using some sort of technology to kind of like put your consciousness in that device for like a limited amount of time. That way, if something ever happened to Earth, you could still put your consciousness in this robot. Now, it wouldn't be perfect, but I mean, you'd actually have to accept eternal life or until you got rusty.
This is a good point. I think that we're already in a way vicariously living through other bodies by
we can already leave Earth in some ways.
Well, but even watching social media, we'll look at a phone or movie and we'll teleport those hours of time into that other character where you're like, oh, you're there in the situation. You're not here physically here, you're inside there. And so because we're already doing that, I think that with VR and AR and where we're gonna go, we're gonna live a lot of different lives. So it's like if you were to look at like the history book, and the history book brings you back to the pyramids, then or like a certain historical war, you can be there. But when you see it, it's different than reading the book. You actually remember the perspective from your point of view that you were there. And so what it means to be human won't be like a single identity. It will be like, I mean, actually, let's talk about this. Like even in VR, you were talking about avatars in the metaverse.
Is it now though? Do you feel like a single person all the time? Like I am Sebastian. This is me.
No,
I seem fluid at times.
I do definitely agree with you. I think that, like even when I play VR and I'm, fighting robots or going to different places and stuff like that. I mean, it's a different form of disconnection from self, and you can like passively learn experiences through other people's like bodies. And if you think about it, like VR being like a recorded imagination that someone can relive, you know, you can kind of like transfer this sort of like creative energy or knowledge to someone by having them experience a place. And that becomes a part of who they are, which then like modifies their character. And they're kind of like can live like 100 lifetimes inside of these different simulations. And I think they can have different identities. Like I was looking into how actually like for transgender people, VR is actually quite a safe place to experiment with identity. And if we think about like even like when we were kids, you know, like oh, throwing a nose ring in or you know, getting a tattoo or something, like you had to physically get the tattoo. You had to get the piercing, right? Where with avatars, even just Twitter, and I think that's what's happening with NFTs with like Bored Ape Club and like a lot of these avatar projects, is that people want to express their identity through this sort of like non-human form or like this other form to express themselves. And then people form tribalism through that, like the Bored Ape Club. Like a lot of people are like really connected to that idea of being part of that, even though they don't know each other. They see the icon and they go, "Oh, you're part of my crew," or like what Nifty BC from Morbs did with the cryptos, the cube heads. Like a lot of people have that as their profile photo. And so I think that there's this interesting thing with like identity experiment. Like, I mean, you sent me a video the other day with you having all face tats, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Just AR allows people to kind of holy crap, excuse me. It allows you to kind of experiment with these things.
I think even like the way we talk in chats, like with GIFs, like in a way, like saying something doesn't just quite get it, but the way that The Office had articulated that laugh is exactly what I mean. And so we constantly are trying to refer media to each other because we're like
if
born
I
in
give
media.
if I coin kit somebody wax and then they're like, they send like the Oprah thing of like, you get a car.
Right.
It's like that's cooler than saying congrats. Like there's like some sort of cultural significance plus
absolutely.
This, like,
and we're
using
using
bragging rights. Like people go, oh, like this dude gets it or something. It's weird, right?
And but so you're messaging through like iconography, like even emojis and stuff and GIFs and stuff. We're saying this person expressed it better. So we're like vicariously expressing through other mediums. And so I think that now with BR and AR, like I can put a Dutchy in your house. So you don't own that Dutchy, but it can sit on your shelf. And so we can go to places that don't exist. And I think that that is really that limitless point in which we unlock the human imagination to what it can really do. And that's not physical, repeated labor. This is like what the human mind is actually capable of. And I think that this sort of like communication through media is like, imagine right now as we're talking, AI is auto generating images that suggest based off of our like the way like auto captioning happens. They use like natural language processing to like grab the vocal, process the words, bring meaning to those words, and then potentially could display you objects. So like as we say shrimp in the car, there could be like a visual image of a shrimp riding in the car. Like AI can
just shows me like buying shrimp at the store and you just know.
Right.
I threw out some shrimp today that had been sitting in the old fridge.
Do you ever, that's like the first time you've thrown out shrimp?
It was in the fridge for about 5 weeks.
Oh, wait, what's the deal with you and shrimp? I feel like is shrimp like your favorite food? I feel like
it's funny.
There's like a ongoing shrimp thing with you right now.
I was thinking about this the other day, like before, I guess, the infamous shrimp incident. I'm not much of a shrimp guy. I guess really? It's like sort of just like a coincidence. I keep getting it.
I'm sure there's people who are like all about shrimp. Like there's like shrimp po' boy, really good. But I don't know.
There's a big shrimp culture.
Right. Is there a shrimp subculture, right? That like in which they're like, yo, chicken, everybody talks about chicken being the main meat, but like what about
have you ever seen a documentary? It's about underground shrimp subculture. There's like this documentary about it. I think it was like
Shrimpers.
Spike Jones did it or something.
Right. And it was award winning because the
It was
shrimpers
nominated.
are over nominated, right? From the people who brought you the nominated project.
Yeah,
People
from
who worked,
the
the
people who
who
brought you
inspired
Bumblebee tuna. Here's shrimp and
albacore, sun-kissed tuna comes shrimp in the car.
from
A
the
new
creators
flavor.
of the albacore. It's like this big movie. It's about like Al Capone or something.
Right, but it's a fish
like it'd be
character,
like-
and he's like albacore,
That's it's
and he
Al.
gets arrested for like not paying his
taxes.
taxes. That happened in Miami, by the way. Not the shrimp thing, but the Al Capone thing. His house
That's where
is
they
still
cracked. That's where they cracked that vault. Oh no. Well, there's a lot of Chicago history with him too. I can't remember where they cracked that vault where Geraldo Rivera was there with a camera crew, and they were like, "Oh, we're about to open the infamous Al Capone's vault here. I wonder what's in it." And they're like, "Let me." We're gonna go to commercial break just in case there's anything bad, and they come back and it's this empty room, and it's just like, well, sorry folks, seems like it's kind of a lackluster buildup here, blah blah blah, and typical Geraldo Rivera fashion.
Are we becoming like kind of like boomers, but like the new version of boomers? Because like you're making a Geraldo Rivera reference, like everyone gets it. And that's what old people do. They're like yeah, like Sonny and Cher. And they're like, and people are like, what are you talking about? And you just throw it around there. Like, it's like,
I made a Sonny Bono reference like 2 days ago. That's so weird that you'd say that.
Yeah, there is. Well, and I think that that's another thing. Like our brain has this sort of untapped ability to attract. Like we were, like the Buju Banton came up today with the Shabba.
I brought up Shabba ranks.
So random and like so many.
How do you know Shabba ranks?
Coincidence. This is how I know Shabba ranks.
It's like I don't actually know him, guys. Stop.
Shabba ranks. Shabba ranks. One gold tooth like I'm Shabba ranks.
Isn't he just in the background? Tooth?
That's the best ad lib ever.
Just ad lib the word tooth? Okay. Tooth. You know in the studio what that looked like? This dude like listening to the song.
You're like, run that back, run that back. Yeah.
You've seen people do the ad libs. It's hilarious. I know you've seen it because you've been in that environment. You're just like tooth.
Tooth. No, that wasn't good. Run that back. Is
that Rick Ross?
Bose. He used to host mixtapes for a half a sack of weed.
Really?
Boy. Big shout out. Big Boss. Big Browse. Yeah, a lot of these people just grew up in the city.
Brose.
The real.
He was a corrections officer, I believe, in Miami.
Yeah, that is the saying. I remember when that photo, I happened, I'm not leaking any names, but I happened to see that photo before that got leaked. Somebody was like,
people were probably, should we do it?
Somebody was like, I'm about to leak this shit. And I was like,
shout out Ricky Rose.
Yo, but big shout out Brose for repping the 305 gang.
Yeah, YMCMB.
Why?
Oh wait, no, that's Lil Wayne's shit.
But he lives in the Portofino.
Maybach music
up the street.
Maybach music. You heard it on the C. Maybach music.
I love this Maybach music. There's a skit that it's like
Maybach music.
It's like too bougie, like
Yeah, dude. Some of the skits on those albums are like cringy.
Yo, but what happened to skits, man? Remember skits? What the fuck?
Yeah, but I don't like it anymore. Like when I listen to like Wu-Tang or something, I'm like, where are all the skits? Come on, man. Like, let me just hear "Protect Your Neck."
Yeah, I'll fucking.
Yeah, the Method Man one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put a fucking hanger on the stove for about a half hour. And then, it's like, oh god.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna grab a fucking spike bat, and just
I'm like, it's like, yeah, it's like, what are you talking about? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Or like a really big skit that I always remember from like Puffy, like back in the days, not you in the mornings, but like Puff Daddy. Um sorry. Yeah.
I'm gonna get in shape.
Was the Mad Rapper. The Mad Rapper, you remember him? That's some boomer talk, right? It's like the old golden era boomer talk. It's like the guy who was like super mad. He was like a mad rapper, and he was like, "Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, son." Basically like nobody fucking with me. Like fuck out of here. Like
I don't remember that one.
That's Puff Daddy and the Family, right? So that was
Puff
even
Daddy
before
was horny,
people,
though.
right? But he was like one of those like like it was cool though.
I shouldn't talk shit. I mean,
You're corny as fuck. So it's like
I'm very corny, and he'd probably be like, "I've shot people in a nightclub before. You think like you're gonna just call me corny?"
No, that was Shine.
I was with Jennifer Lopez.
That was Shine. That was Shine. He went to jail for a while for that. That wasn't.
That was not. No. He took the rap for his boy. You
no,
don't
he
think
did
there
it.
was a
He went to
fucking
jail for a long time and did
you don't
not
think there was
give
a
him
fat
lawyer.
satchel of tokens waiting for him when he got out of jail?
I don't know. He lives in Belize now, and
exactly. Oh, I was born here. I'm Belizean.
Are you?
No, I'm just I have a friend, Chris, who's from Belize.
That's pretty cool. Does he know Shine? Because Shine's dad
I'll ask him actually.
is the prime minister. No, is the prime minister. His dad is the prime minister of Belize.
Fuck out of here.
Shine.
He's like actually like.
Yeah,
he's connected like from there. Okay, it's a little different. I didn't know. Shine, don't come at me.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
may I please visit your fine establishment?
So speaking of fine establishments, so you've got a podcast now. You've left me. You found, now I have FOMO. And was this with Jimmy D or who is this with? Someone from
yeah. I'm going to show you real quick, too, a picture of when I was very fat, just because I think it would be funny for people to see. And I think that you get a kick out of it as well.
I think this is the Puff Daddy reference that he's calling back. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of moved on,
but kind of bringing it back, though.
So this is me when I was about 16 years old. I was in high school.
Well, wait, what? Hold on.
Look at that face.
Where is he? No way, dude. No way. Wait, put it closer. Leave it up. Leave it up. Is there a way that we could do a split screen with your face on one side? No way. Wow. I would have. Okay.
You can see it now.
Okay.
And
well,
then,
bro.
And then like a couple, like when I was training to be a fighter, I was like in very good shape. And that's like the opposite end of the spectrum. And that's what we were talking on the phone this morning about, like that, those extremes,
Right.
How we go to one extreme to the other.
That's right. It's all or nothing, right?
And I think that's like a good segue into what you just asked me actually about the new show.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Probably the most extreme podcast maybe that you'll ever witness in your life.
Wow, you're really amping it up there.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to be wrestling a bear next week.
We have.
Well, no. I mean, we sent the invitation
to the bear.
The bear confirmed, and
okay.
It's so stupid. I wish I could have got this straight face.
Is the bear Jake Paul?
The green check mark on the bear's Gmail address on the invitation.
Like, red. He left you on red.
Declined.
He's too busy.
He's too busy for the meeting.
Listen, I've got a thing. It's like we're about to do a partnership with like Jack's Wild beef jerky. I've just
Jack
got a lot of things right now, and I just can't make the bear fight podcast on Uplift in my.
That's tough.
Gotcha.
My issue with Jack Links was, they have a Sasquatch as their spokesperson, and they thought that it would kind of maybe seem a little convoluted to some of their less informed followers if they were mixing like a bear with the Sasquatch. Like, what's this bear all of a sudden?
What's this bear thing? It's less scarce, right? In kind of way, it's like in a way the Sasquatch is like one of one, and you're coming out here throwing this common bear around.
Now we don't know that though. I mean, there could be a whole community
like a rare bear.
Sasquatches. Actually, have you seen wax squatches? Wax squatch.
I wish I did.
It's my new collection on Atomic Hub.
I was gonna say it sounds like a sport almost.
Wax squatches, and
it's like squash, but wax.
It's a collection of original squatches,
like squat
and
squats or like,
and you can blend the squatches with different watches, swatches.
And you get swatches and swatches and watches.
So it's very blendable.
I love blending.
You can get a squatch with a watch and a swatch.
Right. With a squad.
And a squad and a pea pod. And
right.
There's so many blendables, it's kind of crazy.
Right. So look out for that. In addition to your website and your Atomic Hub section.
Loveisnathan.com. And before we, kind of pass over it as you always do, so unprofessional. Right. Oh my God. I would like to mention my other show. It's called A Shallow Dive with Love. I need to get a little closer.
It's basically a show without Sebastian.
It's they call it A Shallow Dive with Love.
Right.
And
shallow
it's starring yours truly, your boy, Young Nasty, aka The Venomous, aka aka Biblical Vapor.
Biblical Vapor.
AKA
Preacher, Love Preacher,
AKA the Iron Llama Claw. And what was I talking about?
I don't know. I think you were promoting a podcast you have with Uplift.
Okay, so what I'd like to say about that is
and then you called me unprofessional.
Okay.
You said I didn't do something, but then you didn't say what. You said Llama Claw.
All right, I'd like to say this. I've developed sort of a relationship with the guys at Uplift and Yoshi Drops. I'm going to be working with them on a few different levels, and one of which will be having a show on the Uplift channel called A Shallow Dive with Love. And it'll be my show co-hosted by Jimmy D. And we're going to have weekly guests. It's going to typically be every Monday at 8, unless we change the schedule up, but 8 p.m. Eastern. And
you have a time.
Yeah. And what it's generally going to be, I told you, I trained to be a fighter for like a lot of my life. So like once I actually am like, okay, let's do this thing, I can usually like get it going. And I've been like recovering from like burnout and stuff as we discussed. So this is actually perfect timing to get all this stuff rolling because I have emerged from a cocoon recently.
Right. You're a butterfly, a social butterfly at that.
Mariposa, they call me. Right. And I think
also nasty. little nasty. Wait, what was it called?
They call me Mary Poser. Mariposa.
Right. You walk around with butterfly wings on stage and you're like, yo, I'll fucking.
This is what I do. I go on stage and I do this. This is my dance. I make the face, very serious face. This is all like business.
Metamorphosis. I'll fucking.
Metamorphosis. I'm in my chrysalis. You ain't talking this or that. I'm about to grab that gut. They call me a cat, but ain't no tabby. I escaped from the lab, G. You better something. I don't know.
I've got a cat and it's a tabby.
I'm not a tabby. Oh, but what I want to say is I would like to propose to you right now.
You're going to propose to me right now in front of all these people?
Will you marry me? No, I'm just kidding. I was going to say, I didn't even get you an NFT, so you're definitely not going to say yes. But I think it would be cool to have you on one of the upcoming episodes.
All
to
right.
kind of discuss
Instone.
Dutchy and the origin story of Dutchy and sort of how this all started, because I know that you're a man of great vision. I know that Dutchy is, how would I say, in some ways like the golden child, like chosen,
All
you
right.
know.
Big shout out Wampa Stampa.
Yeah, like very just chosen, I guess would be the way to put it. Verified by the Lord. And
He's a drip lord.
Drip Lord, yeah. And as the anointed one, I would like to discuss I'd love to discuss Dutchy's journey and kind of how this all started, because in some ways it didn't really start with Dutchy. And I think it's pretty interesting how Dutchy in some ways wasn't like an afterthought, but was a byproduct of some initial groundwork. And then it evolved into sort of like the forefront, like the main thing, the driving mechanism that is blockchain once.
It's become polarizing. He's a polarizing character.
Yeah.
But luckily we've been able to.
Is there any way we'd be able to get Dutchy in studio? I know he doesn't like to show his face very much, but maybe if there's a way to where you'd have, you know, Jimmy D, myself, you obviously, and then maybe in just a black box, just to help him be more comfortable, which is Dutchy in the corner, his name. And we hear his sweet little voice on the show.
Well, he's very shy, and
I know, and that's why I want to suggest no camera, because I know that might be a little touch and go at first. So I want to give him the opportunity to reveal himself in due time as he feels fit. I keep saying he, and Dutchy's
right.
It feels bad because
I do want to be clear about
Dutchy.
That. Right.
Dutchy's just Dutchy.
I should be super clear about that, and I've had some comments about that. I should be super clear.
Yeah.
That.
My bad. I'm still learning.
It's there is no subscription to an identity, sexuality, those kinds of things. Dutchy is just Dutchy. We don't try to figure it out. Just like we don't try to figure out, you know, other characters. We're not jumping into all that. Dutchy is fluid and fluent with who he is, and whatever it is that he chooses to do is what he's going to do. And
if somebody was really like, what is Dutchy? I would say,
I'm not trying to put bounding boxes on Dutchy.
Yeah, I would say Dutchy is a kung fu master. That's what I'd say if I was like really pressed.
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah, Dutchy's a revolutionary, a kung fu master, a wax aficionado. You know?
Right. True that.
And even like a virtuoso of all things skating.
So let's let me give my respects and my shout outs to Dutchy here. So Dutchy's got a lot of things going on. Big shout out to my co-parent Papa Wampa Stampa.
Papa Wampa?
Papa Wampa.
Love you, Papa Wampa.
Papa
Thank
Wampa.
you for bringing Dutchy into this world. Dutchy is doing some amazing things. I mean, I think Dutchy is really helping shift the paradigm of just kind of like the societal norms that we accept every day. And I think also helping shift the way that we kind of view each other on just the most basic level, and kind of encouraging people to spread love. So I think for that reason too, at some point in the future, we'll see Dutchy as some sort of representative on even like a government level, or if nothing else, like a state administrative level of some sort of, you know, like a lower position, but at least local government.
Right. Well, we see that in Black Mirror and those kinds of things of how, we'll want to have political characters and avatars in those positions. But aside from that, I do want to give a shout out to all the things that Dutchy is doing. So a few things that are going on, and this will lead to the word metaverse real soon. So Dutchy is currently inside of, big shout out, Bad Radio in New Zealand. They've got Dutchy on some billboards inside of an Unreal Engine real-time virtual world that's broadcasted to YouTube. And so he's in there. We've got Waxpalooza coming up in about a month, which is Mozilla Hub's basically virtual world that we're going to be holding a conference or event called Waxpalooza with Nifty BC of Morbs. Big shout out. I see him on my DM right
Orbs,
now.
mutant organic robots buying shit.
Right. We both got the shirts and the socks and stuff. And so Morbs is doing an event in which our podcast will be broadcasting inside of that virtual world. We'll have 3D Dutchy characters, and there will be many artists not only live performing. I'll be a keynote speaker, but there'll also be other NFT artists in there. And that's kind of the idea, I guess, is this space in which Dutchy can live in many universes. And so we have the Waxpalooza thing. Now we have Uplift. We've already, we have 3 locations currently being developed in the Genesis area. One of the properties that's probably going to be ready first is going to be in Ken's world. So when you look at the Genesis map on Uplift, which is Minecraft, you see Ken's logo from the helicopter view. So we're right,
almost.
We're on the right side of the face. We've got an art gallery there, about 3 floors. So it's still under construction. So please, I mean, you can go and check it out, but it's still not there yet. But basically in the next few weeks, we're going to open that up and we're going to throw events there and stuff. So we have one in Kenny's world. Then we've got a HQ that's huge, massive.
Keep going. I'm going to pee because I'm a professional.
Oh, you're doing the Ken poop.
I can't help it. I was going to try. I'm so sorry. Keep going. You're
okay.
Promoing. You're doing so good.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah. So Dutchy, Dutchy just became full 3D augmented reality. You can pick them up at blockchainblunts.com. Drops are still live, blends are still live. Our intention was to create something really cool that you could blend, upgrade, and use augmented reality, all for a non-Ethereum price. So there's a 3D version, and then there's a augmented reality companion that wears the accessories. So we're dropping accessories that are now blendable from 2 different NFT collections. So it means that, there's an accessory. So we're going to be dropping sandals. So they're going to be Kenny's dirty sandals. And just like that Mario Sonic scenario is explaining, now what we have is Kenny, the accessories are minted on his collection, but they are blended, essentially burned, and then a new NFT is minted on my collection in order for those collections to meet. So it is basically Ken wearing Dutchy clothes and Dutchy wearing Kenny clothes. And so we're kind of trying to close a loop on the whole metaverse thing. So so in Uplift, we're building in there. And then, like you're about to see Dutchy essentially be in a lot of different universes on Wax and other metaverses and stuff. So what's really been great about this augmented reality situation is that seeing every single day people send photos of wherever they're going, and they pull out their phone to take a photo with Ken or Dutchy.
I love that part. I love
That's
how people
so
are
awesome,
interacting.
man.
That's the toy part. People are like, "Oh, I just blend it." It's like, well, you can actually have fun with it if you're just like creating content anyway. I mean, some people aren't going to some people just don't take pictures and stuff either. And those are the people that are probably criticizing anything.
Well, but, or in some cases, what's interesting is that sort of vicarious or, so first of all, people like to take photos with Dutchy. I love hearing the stories of what Dutchy's doing. Like people say like, oh, Dutchy went on this trip and then he couldn't find weed. And then he went here and he did that. Like people really get into the storytelling aspect and really imagining, oh, Kenny, they met up. And I really love, that additional part of how the audience is sort of adding to the storyline. And so by them having him travel the world in a way, wherever you are, they are. It's this really cool journey to see like them be a part of people's lives, and I see the same people posting daily in some ways. And so being shy or not being someone who you mentioned, like, oh, maybe they don't take photos.
Like that's them
Actually,
all of a sudden. In
you
some
can
way.
take a photo, right, of Kenny in this beautiful background or Dutchy in this beautiful background, and you are taking a photo, but maybe you're not comfortable taking a photo of yourself. So you still get to share that moment. And then it connects with a community of people who love Dutchy and they're like, that's a great photo. And whoa, you're in Colorado. Tell me more about what you're experiencing. So like, it's just
It's
been
like
this
even when I did the
really-
one with the chickens, people were like, "Oh, chicken." It's like, you know, you don't think about the fact that like environments that we view as being normal, other people get a huge kick out of. Like when I see Dutchy on your balcony, like you have a spot. I'm not gonna blow up your spot too much, but like I like your location. Let's just say like the location is cool. I just like the view, I guess, or something. And when I see it in that environment, it's not only Dutchy or only Kenny. Like I'm living vicariously through you for a moment. Like you just said, like that's all of a
right.
sudden this is like your scene and you've customized it and made it relevant somehow. Like why should anybody care that this is your cool balcony? Like, well, Dutchy is standing on it.
Right. So we're tied, and that's kind of like that the bored apes sort of thing where it's like, I don't necessarily know you, but I know that if you like that, then you must be good in my books. Right.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And so it's like, I care about that thing. So if that thing is somehow tied with your life, then I kind of care about your life because we're connected through that tribalism.
How do you feel about people that are, say, consider themselves like a part of like two completely different ecosystems or at odds with each other? Like somebody like me who would be involved in the Ethereum community and arguably more in the Wax community at this point.
Yeah.
Like, do you think do you think that we've transcended our tribalism, or are we just not being true to ourselves? Is it like the opposite? Like we've sold out just to try to fit in or make a profit or whatever it is.
I think it's important that I explain
I'm
my.
allowing you to rip me open if you feel like it. That's
No. But that I
like
think
how brave I'm being.
well, and I appreciate that. I applaud
Don't,
that.
I'm not being brave. Go ahead.
Here it comes, motherfucker.
Here it comes.
Yeah. Brace yourself. No, I think that I think I've been misunderstood on this topic. I'm very passionate about democratizing technology and accessibility and pricing, and that's probably comes from my upbringing of like not necessarily being able to have. So I want it to be equal, and that's sort of my perspective. However, the internet and websites or technologies, we shouldn't fight with each other because you're on this blockchain and I'm on that blockchain. As they say, don't hate the minter, hate the chain. And so that being said, I love people experimenting on all blockchains. I think ultimately the goal with these things is the internet will be interoperable or essentially compatible with each other. And we shouldn't have to choose, really. It's like the internet, right? It's like a bunch of networks that spread
But even
across.
then, it was like you had like intranets, and then
Right.
eventually the internet came and like kind of.
But it would be strange for me to say, "Oh, I'm part of this intranet, so I don't like you." It is a big bizarre,
Right.
tribalism over a ridiculous thing. So the only thing that I am against Ethereum and some of those things is the fact that it is afforded only to the rich. Okay. So that in itself has nothing to do with me disliking the person. I don't like. I'm not saying you shouldn't make money there or you shouldn't use technology. You should use all types of technology, right? It's should be all connected and hopefully not. We shouldn't.
I'm more troubled by the time it takes than the cost at times too, because worrying involved is like.
Well, I think all those things. I think I'm against the fact that we've have proof that it is not the most efficient, nor is it like the most technologically advanced blockchain, but somehow it's being held as this holy grail gatekeeping sort of thing from other people having accessibility. So that's all I mean. I don't care if you're going to use Matic to mint on
Right.
Ethereum. What I mean, look, I don't care. I'm not here to try to tell you where to do business. I mean, if anything, it makes sense to do business everywhere. It's like I wouldn't tell you only list your product on Amazon or something and not on
Even bigger, like you're gonna put it in Walmart and Target,
right. And for
but
some reason,
not
I'm going to
like
have a problem with you because of that. That'd be ridiculous.
yeah, like but you're not gonna sell to like a gas station or something.
No,
You're not gonna
what
sell,
I
yeah.
have a problem with is people not being upfront about its shortcomings and then basically feeding into this idea that it's going to be solved easily and then basically saying, well, if it's not on this, if it's not on Ethereum, this specific smart contract, then it's not art. Like that is what I fucking can't stand. It's like, what do you mean it's not art because it's not on because it uses a smart contract that is not a custom smart contract? Like that type of elitism is what I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with people. The other thing that I have a problem with is people who want to go and grab a single image and essentially promise someone scarcity using a technology that guarantees that scarcity, and then go ahead and re-promise that image to a bunch of other people and tell them that it's scarce. It's like if you're using any technology, whether it be an autograph, a signature, or like a notary, to prove that there's only 100 in existence, you shouldn't go and then get 8 different people to notarize that there's actually more than 100. Like this, it's wrong. It's defrauding people, right? You're using a technology to certify truth. So it doesn't matter what paper you print that contract in. If you're defrauding people by giving people multiple contracts to a single item, that's fraud, right? So I have an issue with people doing the multi-chain minting of the same image. Now, if you modify the colors, if you put a frame around it, if you do anything to change the quality of that image, then I have no problem.
Right.
So that's number one.
You're like an actual collector too. A lot of people don't.
That's the thing. I don't want you to tell me it's a one of one and then you're selling 1,000 of them. That's super simple. There's no technology. It should be a simple moral thing. You are using a technology to prove something is scarce. You're saying there's only one and then you're making 10. It's wrong. You're charging me the price of one, but you're selling 10 of them. It's wrong. So that now does the Mona Lisa have different prints, glisse prints, t-shirt prints? I'm all for different versions.
But that's literally what you're talking about. It's like make it something different and then sell it somewhere else.
Absolutely. Please make
like,
your money.
Like the ETH version of that match.
To re-upload the same thing is just lazy artistry. It means that you're not even willing to color shift. You're not even willing to add a frame around it. You're not willing to do any modification. You feel that you should be able to basically promise people one of one and then sell 10. That is my core problem.
You literally do it on like even your cell phone, like just like get the JPEG and like shift the color on like shift the contrast, the saturation, the
anything, dude. Put a signature on it. Do anything but just re-uploading the same image. And if you're an artist and you're incapable of modifying that thing in any kind of way to just give it a different quality, like even Pokemon cards, they have a badge on it and they will say, yes, it's the same design, but it will have like a little symbol that tells you it's a limited edition one. That's the least they could do, is just put a badge on it that says it's different. But
what about this?
The same is wrong.
What if I take things that I've already created on Wax and then make the 3D version of it?
That's a new version. That to me.
And then, but instead of selling 10, like say, like a lot of mine are 10. Like what if instead of that, I made that one 20 and I airdropped to everybody who bought all my other prior things?
I see no problem.
That would dilute my value, or do you think people would still buy the others?
Well, here's the thing. Diluting the value and having morals are completely separate. And I think that that's where we're getting into shit, where basically you have people who are saying, well, you should be able to make your money on any blockchain. And it's like, I agree with you, but morally, you shouldn't duplicate the same thing if you're saying it's scarce. And then the other thing about the maximalism is to say that is the discrediting that often Ethereum maximalists do is they say, even if it's a different ERC contract, they will say this contract is less valuable than that contract, even if it's the same artist. And then to furthermore to say other blockchains are lesser than. So a lot of collectors view Matic minted stuff. I think a lot of people think that they're like getting around it by getting on Ethereum, but somehow collectors think that Matic stuff is lesser than. So
Yeah, I don't think it's like real.
It's real Ethereum. So the point is that elitism is what I'm against. I'm not against anybody making money on Ethereum. If you're gonna make 100 grand there, God bless you, bro. God bless you. But if you're gonna say that everything else isn't real art or everything else isn't NFTs or that people don't deserve good art if they pay it $5 and that they should good art should only be afforded to people who pay 100,000. I think that's bullshit. I just can't stand for that kind of like art school snobby, like stuck up. Like, and on top of that, those people generally are holding bags. So they're not trying to hear that their proof of work blockchain is old school. They're trying to hear that Ethereum is going to change the world. They're not trying to hear that, that really the issue.
They forget, like, what is Ethereum trying to become? Proof of stake.
Right. And this is already proof of stake. So it's kind of like, okay, it's trying to become something that's already been made. So it's like, yes, let's all wait for them to get there. Or there's a bunch of people who've already solved this. So I have an issue with that, of basically blindly ignoring facts or not being researched enough to talk about it.
Since they're further ahead on that specific topic, that they might also be further ahead on things like interoperability.
And I would love to see it. I'm only against fees, for the record.
I'm saying, like, I think like people on Wax maybe have the upper hand when it comes to things like interoperability because of the fact that they've already achieved some of the things that
I think there's a massive advantage to Wax because of the fact that I can do a bunch of stuff that I cannot do on Ethereum because of fees. Fees is killing business models and killing innovation. That's my issue. Has nothing to do with people who make money on Ethereum. It has to do with the fact that I can't do a blend. A blend Dutchy, I've calculated it. It would cost like $2 or $3 grand to do the exact same thing. And that would be hard cost to the artist.
Imagine doing blends with, say, contracts for pro athletes. Hey, if you get, 1,000 career, whatever, this NFT goes to you, and then you can redeem that for X. Or that could, I don't know. I think that like you would blend that with your current contract, and then that would like create the
contract renewal
to give you your contract renewal. I think like NFTs and blending and burning will actually like eventually take the place of like
NFT is just a smart contract. It's all contracts. So we talk about it like it may, but it's exactly what it is. It's just automated lawyers.
Yeah.
It's like, what are the terms of the agreement and how
if this, then that thing that you talked about earlier.
We don't need a person to wake up in the morning and read the contract and then misinterpret it. We don't need any of that. Basically, if those conditions are very clear, then it's really simple to automate the result. And so basically a blend is if you destroy this NFT, then I will award you this different NFT in exchange for that. Right. And so it's just a contract in exchange for the contract. Right. So I just think that they're just contracts. Who cares what machine makes them?
If you had to destroy it, this is the potential part of what I was getting at. If you had to destroy a team issued very scarce asset to upgrade your own contract, you'd be increasing the net worth of the team in general. Even though they're like giving you more money, you'd be increasing their overall value by destroying part of the supply. So like maybe there's some sort of like weird thing there where like the teams could actually make more money by paying the athlete more. For instance, just using an athlete for an example.
Sure. I mean, it makes sense because basically, if they were like maybe like a big holder of those NFTs and then they were to burn a large share.
Like, say you were LeBron James and you had to burn your like 50% of your shares in the team to upgrade your contract to X amount per year. So that would raise the value of all the other shares of the team owners, thus making them okay with the contract upgrade and the salary upgrade and blah, blah, blah. Because they would also have more money to throw at other people based on the value. You know what I'm saying? Like, so sure. I think NFTs in terms of like, just even like collective bargaining or something, just boring shit.
It's like a lot of things. Helps. It's like voting. It's like agreeing on things. It's like
voting is the easiest. The longest chain wins.
Right. Well,
I mean, it's like old school blockchain like stuff on that one. It's so cool. Also,
yeah. So I think
we would just give each person a token and a government issued wallet, and they would just they would send their token to either or address, and then that certified token would go to the certified address. And the account with the most tokens wins.
Right. Or just like you're claiming an NFT.
Or yeah, the claim is actually smarter because it's like, you know.
This is a claim, that vote or that vote, and it's secured by your wallet. And then your identity is tied because your driver's license is certified by the DMV, which connects to your Wax wallet ID or whatever. And then basically you can prove ownership. I mean, some of the really great things I've been seeing, and big shout out Marcus, who was working on something like this, where basically they had a drop and based off of the amount of NFTs that were in your wallet, it qualified you for certain discounts. And so normally like a person would be able to lie about that or cheat the system, but here you can see clearly, you know, that there's 20 NFTs, so they qualify for this discount. Yeah. So in a way, it's like proving that person has it and that it is a lot easier now. Like even now, like sometimes like I'm talking with people or whatever, and you know, let's be honest. You know, they'll be like, "Oh, I love the project, etc." I can go see if you own my NFT or not. Hello, I can go check. So
I have a Dutchy.
And this you covered your bases, and you're right. And so the thing is,
because we were talking about it, and I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, although I was like repping it hard, I also didn't own one. And I'll be honest, I don't mind throwing myself under the bus to everybody. But then like you didn't direct it towards me, but you just mentioned it kind of in passing, and it made me think, and I went out and got one because it's absolutely true. How are you going to support something if you don't actually support something?
Yeah, for sure.
You can't really say that you're helping. I mean, yeah, you could. I mean, I help. I don't know why. I'm not gonna take credit for anything. I was mentioning your shit a lot because I loved it, and then I wasn't actually doing it. But what I'm gonna do is I don't want to blend either because I want like original unblended Dutchy. I want like each stage, like, and that's the other opportunity that there is. So I'm keeping just the one that I have, and I'm gonna get the next one and the next one. I don't know.
Well, and that's kind of, so that's in some ways what's happening right now. And I think some people are still learning about this project, but these projects are like, when you look at stuff like CryptoPunks or
level 1 Dutchy is gonna be the most valuable one day.
Well, essentially he's the most burned one, right? And there's only 420 of them.
That's why I'm not touching it, because I'm like, dude, we're all talking about scarcity, but we're gonna blend it. Like nobody's saving the unblended shit either.
Well, so there's a group of brothers who
I shouldn't say that, but damn.
Yeah, there's a group of brothers who big shout out Cam and his brothers. They all decided that as a family, they were gonna collect one of each stage. So it's like, okay, this brother got the level 1, this brother got the level 2. And they're going to hodl it instead of shredding it for that very reason, because it's thinking about it. It's like, okay, wait, everybody's trying to upgrade. What's happening to the OGs though? And so I think that's kind of a lot of those other projects already have like the decided outcomes. And what we're doing is sort of like interactive scarcity. Like, I don't know what you're going to do and decide if you're going to blend tonight or not. Yeah. Right. you're in charge of what happens to this project in a lot of ways. And so I think that what's happening is what we're doing is with the Kennys, we're allowing that the Kenny items be blended onto Dutchy. And so but we're dropping one per week. And so you need to have last week's drop in order to blend up. So if you didn't catch the visor last week, then this week you're one behind. So you'd have to get the visor, upgrade, and then from there get the new, which will be the dirty sandals, and buy those and upgrade. And then next week's upgrade, unless you have the visor and the sandals, you're not going to be able to get the unnamed drop that I haven't yet announced. So and that being said, it's almost like this proof of ownership. It's like I can prove your customer loyalty
or full of shit.
Right. You're lying. Digital trust, right? It's like I don't need to know you to trust you.
Not the digital asset. You're the digital asshead at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And so don't be a digital asset, because I can check the blockchain and I can see, like, if it's like we've relied a lot on human communication to like trust. I trust you. Like, a lot of people are like, why should things be decentralized? It's like, okay, well, if you have a lease with your landlord, have you ever had disagreements with your landlord where they kind of said something that wasn't totally true that benefited them? It's like, okay, so if you have a lease, what holds us to this agreement? Well, there's a paper, and I signed in blue ink. So everybody knows, not forgeable. Got him. Blue ink, checkmate. No, Photoshop exists. So really you have this one copy of a document, and basically it's the trust is between you and the landlord. And that's kind of shifty, because then it becomes he say, she say. But what if you had a million computers that confirm that this is the lease and that new lease has been modified?
Yeah, because they could be like, exactly. They could be like, we said that you're not allowed to host, 97 pythons in your apartment.
Ridiculous rule to begin with, right? My house, my python.
Silly. If I want to risk getting choked out in my sleep by pythons, I should be able to just take that risk.
America.
But it's interesting when a landlord gets to kind of tell you, hey,
how many pythons you can
97 pythons, and you're like,
that's one too many.
Snake in my life.
Right.
How do you come up with 97 pythons? Like, you can't really dispute this, bro.
And you saying I can't have 97, but I have 96.
And that's
I can prove it.
You have 96.
I can prove I have only 96. Okay. Yes. Right.
Now, you could have slid one down the old garbage disposal, but I know that you're better than that.
Right. And like,
that was a crazy thing to say, and I'm so sorry. And it actually hurt my soul.
Right. And sure, those fried fritters taste like reptile, but no, you didn't.
What's the most like crittery thing you've ever eaten? I've eaten gator, and I know that you're in Florida, so you've probably had gator.
I've eaten gator. So
I've
had
not horrible. Fried gator, not bad.
Fried tail, tastes like chicken, right?
It actually tastes like a chicken tender.
It does. And so let's see what else. I've had ostrich.
Me too. I used to eat a good amount of ostrich burgers.
It's good.
High protein, low fat.
It's good.
Good. Exotic foods. I've eaten mountain lion.
Really? Why?
There was a restaurant.
That sounds illegal as fuck.
I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
You're like, oop, I'm not about to snitch on these people. Wait a second. That was a dream. I was doing that.
I think, it was wild boar. That's what it was.
You don't know the difference between lion and boar? I feel they're not the same at all.
You're right. And I'll admit that maybe I'm not the best at identifying my critters. But
so you get confused sometimes between those two?
I've been known to, confuse a rhinoceros with a triceratops. I'm just kidding.
Kind of understandable.
I know. That's why I thought it'd be a funny joke. Right. It's like almost pretty close.
Right.
Ooh, Stegosaurus.
I've only got one horn, and you're Try.
Yeah, it'd be
You're a try hard.
Stegosaurus.
You're such a try hard. Triceratops.
Try hard, die hard. Another Kanye reference.
Chicago.
Try hard. That's
Deep
when you
dish
die.
pizza. So what's the deal with deep dish pizza? I mean, can
I
we,
don't
can we
know,
talk about it?
actually.
It's a lot of sauce.
Very saucy, and I have
It's
heartburn problems.
it's very saucy. And they're very maximalist about it.
I don't like how a lot of things in like these.
If the sauce is hot, it like burns like your gums because you're just like biting into like a whole dish.
That's one thing I like about where you're at.
Pasta sauce.
There's like no maximalism about Miami, really. It's just like, hey, it's cool here. Come on.
Yeah, they're basically like, hey, you want to just get fucked up and vomit on the street here and then just go back home and forget
We
that
got
we
hot
exist?
dogs and empanadas. What you need, bro?
Right.
I can get it all here. This is crazy. I can get a Jamaican beef patty and a croissant. What the fuck is going on? This is beautiful.
You can get a Jamaican patty that has a croissant outside layer because the person is half Jamaican, half French.
A lot of people don't know what a beef patty is either.
They're from Macon.
It's weird though. Like that's maybe
French.
It's one of my favorite foods.
What?
A patty.
Oh yeah, the Jamaican patty's good with the cocoa bread though.
Oh man, I love me some Jamaican food. We talked about this earlier.
Yep, I'm all about the jerk chicken too. I've got jerk chicken sauce and marinade permanently over there.
That's cool.
You
ever eaten a goat's head?
Goat's head, I have not. I missed that one.
My ex-fiance, a while back, it was like a couple of fiancés ago.
He doesn't have commitment issues. He has the opposite. He's very
It's actually not me. It's like I think I'm like overly committed. I'm very annoying, I think is what it is. I think I'm like clingy or something. Yeah. Like love is the answer. Like maybe there's a little too much love going on.
Yeah, it's like
some people, and I can't blame them. I mean, we're all different, right?
Right.
But she was from Jamaica, like born and raised. And I'm just trying to segue out of my personal issues because you're like, holy shit, he's so honest.
You're trying to like escape gravity and shit.
I'm
pulling everything with you like a black hole of just. It's hard to get back to the whole like jerk chicken conversation now when we just dip into all that. Like,
yeah, I went way too in depth about my how I am as a person and the bad things. Yeah.
Guys, this is just a show, okay?
You're not my psychologist. All right.
This is not a
yeah, but she was born and raised in Jamaica, and she used to cook like mainly just Jamaican food. Like, so we get like a lot of things that growing up in the Midwest definitely wasn't used to. Like oxtail. Like I had never eaten oxtail before, and it's good, very good. I was hesitant at first, and I think like there's a lot of parts of culture that we kind of hesitate to embrace because we're just not sure about it. But like there's a lot of interesting things that I've learned from that experience, and I don't remember why I brought this up. There was some reason, but you know,
it's definitely a tangent for sure.
But I remember what it was. The beef patties.
Right.
So I became like really well acquainted with what a patty was. To the point where I just call them patties and people don't know what I'm saying. So it's like
I'll have a patty. And like,
yeah, what are you talking about? Are you 5? Oh, I'm patty. Like what? So and I just reply yes.
I think you thrive on confusion.
I'm a lot like Loki, the Norse god of mischief, I feel. I have a very confusing energy.
That is a good way to put it. You do have a very confusing energy. It's not a very confident description, but it's an accurate one.
I have a very confusing energy. That's like a funny word.
I've been stupefied.
Was that Disturbed song?
I'm down with the sickness.
Did you have like GERD or some sort of digestive issue?
I don't yet.
You're gonna have GERD by the end of this episode.
Coming soon, GERD.
Sponsored by Love Is the Answer.
To a podcast near you.
Coming to a podcast near you. That's not good.
And I think on that note, I think that's the outro.
Yeah, one thing I want to say is that everybody out there, I'd like everybody to consider sort of, just look around your environment and take a few deep breaths and just think about what would life be like if you were born as Dutchy and you were staring at the world out of that big, beautiful eye, that big, beautiful bloodshot eye with your gorgeously perfectly pearled blunt and your beautiful Stony Hawk aura, like what would the world look like to you if you're there in your puffy, comfy looking sneakers with your skateboard and your gold chains, And what would happen if you were to scan that QR code a little bit over, a little bit up, a little over? Okay, yeah. What would happen? But that's what I want everybody to really kind of think in depth about is sort of what life would be like if you were Dutchy, and what would you do to change the world if you were Dutchy? What initiatives would you enact? Would you save lives? Would you take lives? We want to hear all about it. So maybe just reach out, drop us a line, and just give us a shot. And scan these QR codes that Sebastian is putting up.
Just scan all of them.
There you go. Hold it. Hold. Freeze. Yeah, dog. Yeah. Get that code.
Get that code.
Yeah, and honestly, like I said, just think about what it would be like if you were Dutchy, and you're just like ripping through the half pipe of life.
That's right.
With your puffy sneakers. Shout out to Wampa.
It is Wampa.
Seriously,
Boom.
What a legend! What a beast.
Boom. We got our blunt smoking monster on the back.
Oh man, look at that. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, so these shirts include augmented reality. If you want to check them out, TDA Streetwear.
Special QR codes.
TDA Streetwear.com. Live Dutchy drops, blendable augmented reality action figure. You can find them at blockchainblunts.com. Kenny, which is Ken Bozak's action figure, augmented reality blendable as well. You can get a base model for only $1, and you can blend it with $1 blunt and get yourself a mega dank level 2 augmented reality NFT for only $2. And that is Kenny, KENNEE doll.com, KENNEE doll.com. And yeah, so we're digital acid on Atomic Hub on Wax blockchain. And we got a lot of really, really big collabs coming up that I can't leak, but you're gonna love it.
You have Dutchy, you have Kenny. Look out for Nasty Nate coming out soon.
Don't look out for that, but look out for Spliffy, which does exist.
And there's gonna be a Spliffy sort of attached to Nasty. And what would you call it have you ever seen those planes? Like they have the little ones that come like refuel the other plane, they kind of like dock with each other. I don't know like how you would describe that, but that's sort of what like me and Spliffy will be doing.
Okay, you're gonna refuel. You're gonna smoke that gas. Blockchainblunts.com, and then I'm gonna throw it over to Nathan, and he can give his little shrimp promo here.
I'd like to suggest that everybody go out and buy a couple pounds of shrimp. And Jesus Christ, I can't.
You're such a shrimp maximalist, dude. What about chicken?
Buy shrimp coin. It's an ERC20, of course.
Oh, and, well, then it's real. It must be real shrimp. It must be
it's
real.
Definitely not gonna be a rug pull. It's definitely not gonna be a rug pull.
It's gonna be a shrimp pull.
Yeah, go buy that shrimp token. They call it that shroken. But But no, on a real serious note, let's bring it down for a second.
Okay.
I know everybody's got kind of a heavy heart right now, and I want to address that and just say that. Anyway, I was
Okay, you have a website that you actually
you're gonna no, let me finish.
you have a real website, I think.
You're gonna want to go out and buy about 2 or 3 pounds of shrimp. All right. And I want you to put that in some boiling water with a little salt and a little Old Bay. And we're gonna kick that up to about 450. I don't know.
Is that what real puppy is the salt?
Dude, I don't know. I might have like a medical issue at this point because I've been fasting from about midnight to I know I'm eating late.
Sure. Yeah, you're eating McDonald's. The fuck you talking?
Every day. You know what my order
is? Not eating on the dollar menu.
So what I get is I get a 10-piece chicken nugget, chicken McNugget. Sorry, this is McDonald's, people. Come on. And 1 McChicken, 1 double cheeseburger, and a large fry.
I think that's causing the puffiness.
Do you think is that like also a lot of food?
And so
am I eating like 6,000 calories a day? Sure.
So why does the shrimp keep popping up if you're getting all these chicken McNuggets?
So sometimes Papa gets a hankering for some fried shrimp.
Okay.
And occasionally Papa will get a hankering for a hankering rather. Sorry, we're in the South. You gotta say it kind of correctly around here. They look actual funny. For boiled shrimp. Now, boiled shrimp is
God bless you guys for sticking around this long on this.
Boiled shrimp is the one where if you're not careful, after about 9 to 12 days, maybe about 25, 26 days in the fridge, it'll start to stink a little bit. You're gonna want to throw that out. Definitely don't leave it in your car for 8 days in Miami in July either.
Right.
Or June, rather. June. Still. I think it was about averaging like 92 degrees that week. So
that's his plug for his product.
So visit shrimptamer.com. That's actually a real website. Go check it out. And I don't want to be held responsible for any of the imagery that you see there. It's, my opinions are my own. And I also want people to check out loveisnathan.com.
That's that one.
Because I am Love is the Answer, and I am also Nathan. So loveisnathan.com. Gang, gang.
You get it, motherfucker. So
do you get it?
So
I just noticed I do this.
Right. And then said gang, gang.
Gang, gang.
Very nice.
Gang, gang.
So he has a real website. And a cohesive Atomic Hub collection name, which is also
very interesting.
And the same Twitter name, which is and the same Instagram name. So we're really going for gold this time. And it's not going to be boom. Whoa, we are on some future shit tonight. Not only is he plugging his drop, but he's using a QR code that he made.
Mm-hmm.
This is peak performance here from Nathan. I'm like, guys, scan that QR code because really, and so when's your next drop?
Once fabled loser is now has now become a Cinderella. There's a Cinderella story happening,
right?
And this young Cinderella
is eating McDonald's.
This young Cinderella is powered by French fries and McChickens, is about to dance his way into your fat little hearts. And I love you all.
I love you like a fat kid loves cake. Thank you for watching our dog shit show. And we love you. And
thank you for watching the DSS.
And you'll catch us on the next randomly timed, randomly dated podcast.
It'll be about maybe like 4.5 years.
Exactly. Please leave a comment so we have some sort of motivation to do another one.
Yeah, give us some semblance of hope, or even some sort of like kind of motivation to just carry on in general. I mean, I know that we battle a lot of like depression and anxiety. So we need your encouragement in general to just kind of keep going, guys.
Right.
And I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but don't let us die on the vine.
Right. And so on
It's
that
so
note,
short. And I just don't want to. That's probably psycho how it seemed like I was really crying. And
prove your
and
loyalty to us by proving that you were here till the end of the podcast, and leave the comment shrimp is the answer.
Yeah.
And that way we'll know that you stayed all the way till the end of this ridiculous conversation. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you on the next one. And if he keeps eating burgers, we're gonna see part 2.
Not far off.
Coming soon. Puffy is the answer.
Puff is the answer. Shrimp is the answer.
Bye.
Bye. I think that was good.
Wait.
I think that was good. It's not